Carlos Prates punched his way into the rankings at UFC Fight Night 247 by knocking out the perennial gatekeeper, Neil Magny. The first round finish was his 11th straight stoppage, and his last 4 were with the UFC. But he might still be setting his sights a little too high for now. Magny has fought the best of the best, and he aggressively pressured Prates with takedowns for 3 minutes. A quick punch scrambled Magny's brain though, and he spent the next minute trying to avoid another one. That's when he failed. "It's like a dream," Prates said when asked about his UFC run. "Like 2 years ago, I was fighting for like maybe $200, and now I'm doing a lot of money. It's a dream. I worked hard for this for many years, and I'm really happy. But it's still like a dream." Prates called out a top 5 fighter, but he's only just made the top 15. Instead, a bout with the current number 11, Stephen Thompson, could be a banger. With 4 losses from his last 5 fights, all of those to wrestling-based opponents, the 2-time title challenger is winding down his career. Wonderboy has expressed an explicit interest in taking on strikers only, so it's a matchup that will suit everyone, including the fans. And in the co-main event, former 1 dual division champion Reinier de Ridder made his long-awaited promotional debut. His 3rd-round submission victory was against the man with the most submissions in middleweight history, Gerald Meerschaert. The Dutch Knight scored a knockdown in the first round, but Meerschaert took over in the next round after de Ridder failed to lock onto a D'Arce choke. At a round apiece, the debutant wanted a finish, and he got just that. De Ridder fought 9 fights in one from 2019 to 2024 and won the light heavy and middleweight titles during that time. After competing consistently, the Dutch fighter struggled to get fights after losing his titles to the then heavyweight champ Abdul-Malik and only fought twice in 15 months with the promotion. "It's hard for me to talk bad because I had a couple of good years at one. In the beginning, they treated me well, but over the last couple of years, it's been really bad," admitted de Ridder. "There's nothing there are no fights." There were 8 finishes at Fight Night 247, but it was Carlos Prates, Mansour Abdul-Malik, Charles Radke, and Damon Blackshear who earned 50k performance bonuses for getting it done in the first round. And this coming weekend, the fight that everyone is talking about but no one really wants is upon us. Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic for the UFC Heavyweight title. Jones is the current champion after beating Cyril Gane for the vacant title that the lineal champion Francis Ngannou vacated. That is Jones's only fight in 4 years. Miocic is the heavyweight GOAT, who is now 42 and hasn't fought since losing the title 4 years ago. And Tom Aspinall, who has knocked out every man he's ever faced in the UFC, 7 of whom went down in the first round, is the interim champion who for some reason isn't getting the fight. And he may not ever get that fight. If Miocic wins, he'll likely retire as one of the greatest of all time. And if Jones wins, he wants to step over Aspinall so that he can defend the title against the light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira, who was a middleweight just 1 year ago. It's a mess, but it's happening. And who knows what happens next? Jones versus Miocic for the UFC Heavyweight title, which is starting to look about as meaningful as the BMF title, is going down this weekend at Madison Square Garden in New York, New York. The 3-division 1 championship king, Abdul-Malik, is no longer undefeated. Oumar claimed the heavyweight MMA title with a split decision after 5 hard-fought rounds. But could such a close fight earn Malik an instant rematch? The 32-year-old Senegalese colossus immediately played to his wrestling strengths, and he got a takedown in the first minute. It took 2 rounds for the former triple champ to find his bearings against the hulking behemoth, who was now starting to gas. Malik started to back up Reug with the superior striking, and the 2 men went after it from there until the final bell. After 25 minutes of action, 2 judges awarded Khan his 7th victory and the heavyweight MMA title to make the new king Africa's first ever 1 world champion. As for Malik though, he might get his rematch sooner than later, but not at heavyweight. In his post-fight interview, the new champ expressed interest in the Russian's light heavyweight title, so we could be seeing Khan versus Malakin 2 in the not-too-distant future. In the co-main event, the flyweight Muay Thai champ Rodtang Jitwanong lost the title on the scales before handing Jacob Smith a second loss in their two-fight rivalry. With Rodtang weighing in heavy though, you can expect Smith to call for a trilogy bout. Despite failing to pass hydration or make weight, Rodtang put on a striking masterclass to show exactly why he was the one holding the world title. By the fifth round, the Thai superstar was in complete control, taking the best of Smith's offense and firing the same offense back, but only better. It was a vintage Rodtang performance. All three judges scored it to the former champ, but the division is now without a title holder. And in the battle for the inaugural women's strawweight kickboxing world title, Jackie Buntan took it to Anissa Meksen for the full 5 rounds to claim what many believe could be just the first of her many world titles to come. The Filipino-American sensation showed absolutely no fear in her showdown with Meksen, who has long been considered one of the top pound-for-pound female strikers on the planet. Despite giving up the size and reach advantage, Buntan's crafty offense, especially with her hands in the pocket, began to frustrate the French-Algerian striker who couldn't break Buntan's growing confidence. After 5 close rounds, all 3 judges awarded Buntan the unanimous decision for her 27th victory and the inaugural ONE Women's Strawweight Kickboxing World title. In other highlights from the card, the former flyweight MMA champion Adriano Moraes submitted Danny Kincaid in their rematch. This time, Maquinho jumped in on a guillotine in round 2 that secured him the tap, and a possible shot at the vacant title he's already held 3 times. And in Cade Ruotolo's second MMA fight, the lightweight submission grappling world champion proved that he's got some power in his hands too. Though Ruotolo submitted Ahmed Mujtaba via Das choke for the win, it was a booming punch that set up the first round finish and his second win in pro MMA.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.